All right, so the first thing that we are gonna do is we're gonna open up the box and take everything out and lay it all out to make sure we have everything that we need. All right, so before we get started, what I like to usually do is flip the truck upside down, put it on top of the shipping box because it makes it a little easier to work. And also, I like to lay out all my parts so I see what's what. So the first thing that we're gonna get started on is installing the front bumper. So the important thing is for the top portion of the bumper right here with these tabs to slide in between the grill here. To secure the bumper, we're using these flat Phillips screws included in the hardware. You also have these wires on the front bumper that are for the lighting in the bumper, and those simply go through the little holes right here up underneath the hood. Next, we're going to locate the steering mechanism and the rear axle. They are shipped zip tied together. I'm using snips to just clip the zip ties. We're going to remove the rear axle and put it off to the side. Next, we're going to be installing the steering mechanism. Just turn that by hand, line it up, so that once we install our steering mechanism, the steering shaft goes through the opening. So the front steering mechanism mounts with 4 screws on this side and 4 screws on this side. So the next step involves mounting the motors to the front axles. So we're going to take one of the mounts, install it over the motor, and lay it flush on the gearbox. Make sure you have the correct side motor. Left motor goes on the left side. We're going to slide it through the axle. All the way back until it clips in. And we're going to do the same exact step on the other side. Install the bracket. Slide it over the axle until it's in place. All right, once we have the gearboxes installed, what we're going to need to do is connect the motors. So you're looking for these white tube plugs here that are split off from each other, and all we're doing is we're lining up the tabs and clicking them in, both sides, and that is it. So before we move on, we are going to install the front wheels. We're going to need the 2 wheels, and we're also going to need these gear adapters that are going to go inside the back of the wheel. So the wheel adapters get installed with 4 screws, and in your hardware you will see that there's 2 different types of screws. One is a flat, the other one is round. We're going to be using the round ones for the wheel adapters. Once we got our adapters installed, what we're going to do is we're going to install these plastic little spacers on the outside of the wheel in the front. Next, we're going to install the wheel on the front, line it up with a gearbox, and slide it inside. If you don't have enough room to install the washer and the nylon nut, make sure that your gearbox is straightened out and it's back seated all the way into the bracket. Then we're going to install the washer and the nylon nut. We're going to go ahead and tighten it with the included tool. Same exact process on the other side. Install the wheel, install the washer, put the nylon nut on. All right, moving to the rear axle, we're gonna need these little plastic inserts for the rear axle and the rear springs, both sets of them. We're gonna take these spring retainers, making sure that the top part is where the opening for the axle is. Slide them over the spring. Then we're gonna take the axle, compress the spring, slide the axle through. Now that we have the axle installed, we can see that the suspension works. We have both of the gearboxes here. This one's labeled right. You have little labels actually here on top, and install the right one, sliding it over the axle, and making sure that the motor connector goes inside with the motor, slide it all the way in. Same exact process on the other side. For the back wheels, we're going to use the same exact process and install these adapters using the provided hardware. Now we're going to install these plastic washers in the wheels, and we are ready to install the wheels on the back of the truck. We're going to install each of the wheels on the back of the truck, making sure that the tread pattern matches the front. Sliding it into the gear. We're going to install the washer and the nylon nut. Same thing on the other side. We're going to go ahead and tighten with both of the tools that are included. The reason why they include two is that you can simultaneously tighten them from either direction at the same time. Now that we have the truck right side up, we're going to install the chrome wheel covers. As I mentioned earlier, we're using these little round head screws. Also, just a quick tip before you install the wheel covers, there are 3 holes on each wheel that need to be matched up with the openings in the wheel cover. As you can see, every other one has a hole for the screw to go through. So when you are installing it, make sure that your openings are matching up to your wheel. So the next step is to install the doors. And what we're going to do is we're going to remove this screw right here by the radio. Just going to go ahead and back that out. To help you install this metal tab, what you can do is use a flathead screwdriver to help lift and slide the metal tab in just like that. Once you have the tab in there, slide it all the way in to line up the holes and reinsert that same screw that you took out. Once you're done installing the screw, you are done. The doors just latch on a magnet. All right, our next step is to install the steering wheel. And for this, all you have to do is line up these little tabs, clip it in. Once you have the steering wheel plugged in, we're gonna put the rest of the wire inside the steering wheel, making sure that the wire sits inside the channel here on the steering column. We're gonna go ahead, just slide the steering wheel on, and it just clips in. So here inside the truck, under the seat, we're gonna be installing and plugging in the motors just the way we did on the front. Next, we're going to install the windshield, and the windshield simply just clips into place. Move under the hood, and we are plugging in the bumper fog lights into the little panel here. We're going to locate the thermal cutoff with the red wire attached to it, and we're going to take this connector and we are going to push it in onto the battery, just like that. Next step, we're going to turn on the truck. We're going to put it in forward, and we are going to make sure that all wheels spin in the right direction. If for some reason one of your wheels spin in the wrong direction, chances are that you have the gearboxes mixed up on the sides. All you would have to do is take out the gearboxes and swap on the opposite side, making sure that the right gearboxes are on the right side, left gearboxes are on the left side. Next step, we're going to install a roll bar. Then we're going to install our light bar. Smaller round head screws right in here to keep the light bar in place. Next step is to install the mirrors, and they simply just clip in both sides. So the way we're going to install the seat, is we're going to slide these little clips into the openings here in the back of the truck. Securing it with these flathead screws in the corners. Next is the remote control. Remove the screw for the batteries. Install the two AAA batteries. Remote control lights up. Install the cover back. And install the screw. Here is the charger for the truck. You have a LED indicator for the red light that it's charging. Once it turns green, you are ready to rock. Charging port is right under the dash. Once you plug it in, the vehicle will shut off and it will not work while it's charging. You also get a phone adapter to plug in your phone into the auxiliary port if you want to listen to music off of your phone or an MP3 player. And you also get a USB slot with a micro SD card slot if you want to load some music onto one of those in order for your kid to have music in the truck. And then on this side, you have your drive, park, and reverse. It doesn't really matter which position this is in. If you are using the remote control, you'll be able to drive it forward or reverse with a remote control regardless of where this is. Also, don't be alarmed if you have some spare hardware left over. These are all spares. And there you guys have it. Very easy to assemble, the four-wheel drive truck from bigtoysdirect.com. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Later.